easy question, I have to say.
Yes, ganyan na ganyan yung itsura niya.
Let's do it!
What the hell? It's like, it's me. And you say, oh my God.
They was like, holy beep. What's this going on? Because even now I get like speechless.
Why is it important for a beauty queen to have a good?
You do not know how to speak your mind. You're not going to give your organization much credibility for what you're really fighting for.
Beauty queen doesn't mean perfection. Now I feel embarrassed to say this, but I'm going to do it because that's how I am. So I'm gonna go.
My wave became the Miss International wave. Right, Stephen?
I have become a patent.
Ito naman yung bumaba. Sabi ko, oh my God, kasi nasabi ko ng planet how. Tapos pag inaangat ko, hinihila niya. So ako, angat siya.
My travels. I love my travels.
I would just want it to be that I gave something back that made them happy.
Money or love?
Love.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to a special episode of Missosology Beauty Talks. I am your Missosology correspondent, Drew, and I'm not doing this alone, don't worry, and we will be joined by my co-host, Amir, in a few. But before that, I just want to introduce our panelists for today's 70th Miss Universe Preliminary Competition and National Costume Show Review. So first, we will be joined by our guest panelist, our resident expert, Miss International Marketing Manager, Stephen Diaz. Hi, Stephen, and welcome to the show.
Hey guys, I'm back.
Welcome back, Stephen. How are you?
After like half a year, I guess.
So before we introduce our next panelist, Stephen, as a pageant organizer yourself, what can you say about the preliminary competition and NatCos show of Miss Universe?
Well, to be honest, I'm really very jealous, because they were able to pull it through. It's amazing. Considering the fact that we haven't really done our pageant for the past 2 years. So I have to say, again, I would like to commend the organization for doing a spectacular show. And since it's being held in one of my most favorite countries, which is Israel, so that's another plus point. So trust the Israelis to deliver when it really matters the most.
Yes. And I'm sure our viewers know that Stephen is a very opinionated person, so we can't wait to know who were the girls that you eyed earlier. But we also want to welcome back to our show Missosology's co-founder and president, Ric Galvez. Hello, Ric.
Hello. Nice to be back, guys, and I'm very excited to share my opinions tonight.
Yes, and Ric, as the resident analyst of Missosology.org, what can you say so far about Israel's hosting of Miss Universe?
Well, I've written an article a few days back, and I've stated there that there's a reason why Miss Universe has chosen this country to achieve herd immunity. But as the pageant is about to reach its climax, unfortunately, there are more bad news coming in. So we have this new variant, the Omicron variant, which I think made a mess for everybody. So there was talk about closing of borders, especially in Israel. But fortunately, the way I look at it, the Miss Universe organization managed to pull through despite the threat of these new variants.
And now, wag na natin patagalin pa. Let's start with our national costume review. During the last edition, we also had a separate episode for this, and it was a very lively discussion. And I just want to point out first, before we proceed with the costumes that stood out for us, I just want to point out first that I was very glad to not see overly sized national costumes. Do you agree, guys?
Oh yes,
Missosology is always
yes, definitely.
advocated for having costumes that the girls can actually carry and wear with ease. And I'm
Correct.
very glad that
Correct.
this edition we didn't see overly sized costumes and costumes that had to be carried by other people for them. So now let's start with our national costume review. So earlier we published an article of our top 10 um, standouts national costumes for Miss Universe, the 70th Miss Universe. But unfortunately, our website crashed. Sorry, guys, but we were working
I
on
think
it.
it's now online. I think it's still online.
Yes. So we proceed with some of the costumes that we really like. So starting with Miss Philippines. So they are Luigi Gomez's Bakunawa inspired outfit. So what can you say about this, Stephen?
I have to be very. Can you hear me, guys?
Yes, you can hear you.
Yeah, I have to be very honest. I wasn't really so updated about the national costume of Miss Philippines, unlike before, wherein even before the national costume shows would start, we already had an idea of what the national costume of Miss Philippines would have been. But this time, because I was so busy with the Miss International Japan pageant, it was really, really so. Like, I had no time to actually check out what's happening within the Miss Universe Philippines Instagram. So I was pretty surprised with this national costume that I saw on this morning, actually, here in Japan, and it's pretty different from the national costumes that we have seen about representing our culture, because this one has some touch of Chinese culture into it. The representation of a dragon, for example, because we haven't really touched that part of our culture in most of our national costumes. We usually do the pre-Hispanic or the Hispanic inspired costume, but this one is kind of different. Maybe for traditional beauty pageant fans, probably it's something that they wouldn't expect, or probably wouldn't exactly connote or connect with Philippines. But those who really know about our culture and how the Chinese influence and at the same time the indigenous culture had mixed our mythology and and things like that. Those who really know the Philippines would understand the overall concept of Bea's national costume.
Agree. And do you guys agree with what 𝗪𝗔𝗧𝗖𝗛 Lastimosa mentioned earlier or tweeted earlier that this is the best national costume of a Miss Philippines in years?
Yeah, that's for me, Drew. There are two approaches on how you present the national costume in international beauty pageants as we should use. First, you choose a costume that really represents your country. Like Japan, you have kimono. Korea, you have hanbok, etc., etc. So for the Philippines, you usually have Filipiniana-inspired costumes. The other approach is that you could advocate for something that is not usually well known by the public. And I think that this Bakunawa costume of Miss Philippines has successfully achieved that kind of approach. The details are very intricate. It is well designed, well thought of, and not so many people outside the Philippines know about this mythical Bakunawa culture. So in a way, the designer and the Miss Universe Philippines was, I think they made an excellent job here. And that makes this Philippine costume very special. It introduces to the world that, hey, we have more culture other than those inspired by Spanish colonization. No? Like Stephen said, and I agree 100%, that this is an indigenous costume, probably with some Chinese influences. So it's time for the world to know that there are other parts of culture that other countries have to show off. And I'm not just talking about Philippines. Other countries can introduce other parts of their culture that are completely unknown or not known outside of their own country. And I think this is one of the best costumes we've seen in recent years. I think that's the best costume we've seen since 𝗪𝗪𝗧𝗖𝗛 in 2001.
Yes. Well, now we proceed with our next the next costume on our list is Guatemala, and I remember I was the one. I was the one who sent her name on the list, who gave her name on the list, and I was really awestruck with this costume. And this was actually made from recycled plastic materials, and this is inspired by a Mayan goddess that was apparently sent from the future. It's what they wrote on the profile of the costume. And who would have thought that the overall outfit was made from recycled materials? And aside from that, it's green. That's my favorite color. So
It's well
that's why I like
executed
it.
as well, and she also
Yes.
incorporated the Israeli element on it. 70 years. The Star of David is on her headdress, right? So, and it was
Yes.
well explained that it's because Guatemala was like the second country to recognize Israel
Israel.
as a country 70 years ago, and also Guatemala was like the second country to recognize Jerusalem as the capital of Israel. So
Mhm.
it's a little bit of political
Yes, a little bit
political
political.
color on that
but-
one, but
Yeah.
since we held the pageant in Israel, so I think that would make sense.
Mhm.
Yeah, the costume is actually beautiful. It's pre-Columbian, Mesoamerican. That's very Guatemalan. That represents her culture. It's very relevant. But the only thing that throws me off is the Star of David on her headdress. I get the message,
Mhm.
but when you have a national costume, you need to stick with a certain narrative. You don't throw off something that's completely. I don't think it's relevant to the overall concept of the costume. If she wants to celebrate the Guatemalan Israeli relationship, fine, you can make a costume out of that. But if you like a sort of mishmash, nothing against Israel or their diplomatic relationships. It's just that the Star of David at the headdress does not belong there. And I think that the designer should take that into note. You make a national costumes, you need to stick with the narrative that you're trying to point out. If you want to point out the Israeli-Guatemalan diplomatic relationships, fine, make a costume out of that. But I think that's they've gone overboard in that one.
Mhm.
Star of David.
Okay. Then let's proceed with the next two. It's Morocco is back in Miss Universe after so long, and Nicaragua. So, who wants to go with any of them? Hey,
Yeah,
Rick.
I can go first. Morocco, that's very, very relevant cultural wise. And I think for me, if I would advocate for national costumes at international pages, I think this is the best national costume you can present. I think this is I'm not so sure if it's Tuareg or I don't know which part of Morocco or ethnic uh, uh, groups that the costume was inspired of. But I think this is the national costume that I would like to see. That's me. No? Uh, the fabric is very classy, sophisticated, very Moroccan, and like I said earlier, this is one of the two approaches that you can make with national costume. In this case, it's the first approach. It's the costume that people are really associated with your country, and I think that this is one of the best costumes I've seen in the country.
And also, this is the kind of costume that we haven't seen on Miss Universe stage for a very, very long
Yes.
time. So
I was
it's the impact is there because it's something which is really very new, brand new, and also have to recognize the fact that there are a lot of Moroccans in Israel, like the Jewish Moroccans. Hundreds and thousands of them are actually in Israel. So probably could also relate to this kind of costume because this is also where they came from, like their ancestors. So it's really good, well executed, and look at the face. Aside from the costume, the bearer of the costume is also like
Mhm.
really very beautiful. I am a big fan of Miss Morocco, and we'll be discussing about that later on.
Yeah. And who would have thought that she's actually the first runner-up?
Yeah,
Miss Morocco.
maybe a blessing in disguise as well because she seems to be really very prepared for this.
And now Nicaragua. It was the costume pays homage to Gregorio Bracamonte, according to the profile, which spent his life restoring and rescuing pre-Columbian clay carved ceramics in Nicaragua. So I think they really did a great job in paying homage to that person by doing something that also shows the colors of their flag.
Oh yeah, yeah. At the first glance, you can make no mistake. You can see it right away. Very Central American. So I think this is one of the good costumes in this year's pageant.
Yeah.
And
One thing that I
Yes,
really
yes.
appreciate about this costume is the fact that it's kind of similar to the national costume worn by the last Miss International Nicaragua who came to Japan 2 years ago. So I know how detailed this is and how they actually do the craftsmanship in making this kind of costume. So I think it just makes sense that it's in the top 10. For me, it's actually top 5 if it's just me, basically. It's really very beautiful, really wonderful. There's also one reason why Nicaragua won Best National Costume in Miss International back in 2016 during Kylie's time. So
Yes.
the craftsmanship is just really amazing.
Okay, so the next two costumes, Ukraine and Spain. So I think this is the second time that Ukraine made it to our list of best national costumes, and they overdid themselves again with this very very beautiful ensemble.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
really
that's-
beautiful. They always have very wonderful costume, and it's embroidered, right? It's embroidery.
Yes.
That takes a lot of skills to actually make such a well-crafted, and it also represents their culture, because this is something that the Ukrainians are really very proud of, their embroidery.
Yeah.
And aside
Yeah.
from that, it's this time it's something different. They have a different approach in showing their embroidery. They have lots of embroideries, like in those circles there. It's really cute. It's and again, I have to point out that there are so many Ukrainian Jews who live in Israel right now, and I'm pretty sure they could appreciate as well this kind of artistic work on the national costume of Miss Ukraine.
Yeah, and I like how.
think that. Yeah.
Yes, go ahead.
Drew. Okay.
Yeah,
I think the
I was just
effort-
about to say. Sorry, I was just about to say that I liked how the national costume has also become an educational. They made it. For example, Ukraine last year they reintroduced their paper cutting designs, traditions, and now they introduced their embroideries. So, props to that.
Yeah.
But before you proceed, Rick, I just want to welcome my co-host Amir. Amir, hello.
Hi everyone, good evening.
Hello,
I'm late.
Amir. Hello.
Hi
It's
Zurich,
alright.
hi Steph, hi Drew. I'm late.
No worries. No worries. Welcome.
Thank
Okay,
you.
so go, Rick. Please proceed.
Yeah. The thing. This is what I would like to say with these both costumes. The effort that was poured into these costumes, that's very commendable. And the stories behind each costume, it's very relevant cultural wise, history wise, and I think that really represents both Ukraine and Spain. I mean, each costume represent their own countries, the countries of each contestant, and I think this is the reasons why both of them are in our top 10 for national costumes.
Yeah, and now Miss Spain. Miss Spain's costume pays tribute to Antonio Gaudi, a Spanish architect. And I have to commend Miss Spain because of not just because her costume is really beautiful, but because of how she well presented it during the national costume show. She was so fierce and sexy, and I think it was the showmanship that really put her into this spot in our list. And now we proceed with the next two.
Oh wait, can
Nigeria.
you speak about Spain
Okay.
first?
Go,
Really
Stephen.
short. Even if the host didn't mention about Gaudi, the moment I saw her national costume, the first thing that
Yes.
came to my mind, Gaudi, because that's exactly how a Gaudi work would be. If you've been to Barcelona or if you're a big fan of Antoni Gaudi, that's it. Yeah, that's all I want to say. Let's go to the next. Come on.
Okay, the next one, Nigeria and Peru. Stephen, Nigeria.
Nigeria. Well, I didn't actually know that this is the same designer who made the national costume of Cameroon last year. And you know how big fan I was with Cameron's national
Yes.
costume last year. And this one, although it's not so, it's not as intricate as it was with the Cameroon costume last year. This one, the execution was really amazing. I have to give it to the delegate. I forgot her name. She really performed well. And what I really appreciate about this national costume is that even though she already put the mask back, like the huge mask, right? Although she already put it back, still, the backside didn't look as if it's irrelevant. Still, it worked both in front and the backside of the costume. So that's one thing that I really appreciate about this national costume, because it's not just the front side that we could focus on. We could still appreciate the back side of it, even though she already flipped it back.
She's Maricel.
Maricel.
She was a former Miss Earth Nigeria.
Oh, I think that's the reason why she was able to connect with the designer from the Philippines.
Yes. And the next one is Peru, who was I think, the scene stealer, the showstopper because of the light show. So, Amir, what can you say about Peru's costume? Ayan, pinagtrabaho na agad kita. Nakamute ka.
Okay, as regards to Peru's costume, I like because of the lights. That's the only one I notice about. And the color, of course, I love the color white, and it really signifies to me purity. And I love the light. What's the effect of that? It was, I think, it was turned off. The stage light was off.
Yeah.
Then it was emphasized na meron siyang mga ilaw. Like, I love it.
And now let's proceed with our top 2 costumes. It's India and Vietnam. So, once again, the Asians are dominating the national costume.
Yeah, when it comes to national costume, Drew, I think Asians really dominated. Aside from, usually it's between Asian and Latinas. Those are the standout national costume, and I like India's national costume.
Yeah, Amir, India was one of your top 5 in the national costume.
Yeah.
So why India?
It's very easy, Drew, because one thing I like about national costume is the culture that could easily be seen to the outfit, to the costume of a girl wearing it. So I could easily identify this is the costume in India. The culture is there, and I commend the color to the color of her national costume. I like it. I like it so much. And then the showmanship of India. Oh my God. Aside from being a beautiful woman, the showmanship, she delivered it well. I like her so much.
Yeah. And for me, I like India's costume so much because it depicts how strong yet delicate Indian queens are. And I like also how elevated this looks from the costume that Adeline wore during the previous edition. So it's the same color, but more elevated because of the umbrella and the performance of Harnaz during the competition with the head dance and all the hand gestures. It was a show. It was a show.
Yeah, she's supposed to represent an Indian princess, but no, not but. And I think that she delivered it well. I also love the color. It's very sophisticated color. It's the color, I think, of the royalty, and very culturally relevant. You cannot make any mistake from this one. First glance you see, that's India. Okay, and she's carrying her own umbrella. Like what Drew said, that's some sort of symbolizes strength, independence, women empowerment. And then I would like to tackle Vietnam. Vietnam is supposed to represent rice cakes, right? So this is one of the biggest costume in the show, I guess. But it's not overly big. It's not something that like an ensemble. But she pulled it off. The colors are verdant, beautiful, it the overall feel of the costume is very harmonious for me anyway. It's not something that you will have to say that it's Vietnam's costume, but it's something that you need to know more what it represents from Vietnam. So this is the second approach when it comes to national costumes. So I think I like it.
Yeah, it's actually called Ban Tet. The rice cake is called Ban Tet, and it's usually served during the Tet holidays in Vietnam. So that's the inspiration behind this costume.
Well, Vietnam is the last delegate to come out, and to be honest, I was really very tired watching all the national costumes, 80 national costumes, and then came Vietnam. I wasn't really so excited when I saw it because it looked small the moment she went out, but it suddenly popped like a peacock. I didn't know that that something would something would fall from that head piece of hers, and then it became like that, and then the purple parts came out, and then it was explained that it's like the purple yam of the rice cake, blah 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 blah, and that's probably how it. There's the impact, the impact is there. It's like, aside from the fact it's culturally relevant, it's entertaining, right? So and it's food. So it's memorable because it's something that makes you want to eat Vietnamese food again. It reminds me of Vietnamese food. That's which is one of my favorite in the world.
Food or cuisine in general is a very important part of the country's culture. So if you want to showcase your culture at Miss Universe, food or cuisine is one way to do it.
Yeah, and you don't need to eat a live food on stage. You just have to show a representation of it, because eating a food for your national costume, it looks tacky and not classy at all.
No, it's I think demeaning to the contestant. I mean, it's
it's
much.
demeaning, and it becomes a comedy show.
Yes,
But
Okay.
Drew, sorry,
Yes, I'm
let's
here.
look at this one. Aside from the national costume, I really admired how the organization emphasize, the camera, the angle. They give more time
Yes.
for the girls to showcase their national costume, and that's commendable because it's, most of the national costume we do not appreciate it because it's too fast. But this time around,
Yeah.
they give a lot of time for the girls to showcase their national costume and even
There were more
focus on
airtime.
their face. I really like it. They have the focus on their face, so yeah, I can see the beauty how they visually express their your costumes. Usually, you can only watch them, but a couple of seconds. But this time around, it takes I think 3 to 5 minutes, and I really love it. I really love it, and that's commendable
And
for the
then-
organization.
And now, before we leave the national costume review, just want to show a slideshow of some of the a lot of political national costumes. So we want also to highlight the causes that they push forward, like Czech Republic on women's rights, and Miss Ireland on fair pay for nursing, and Miss Finland on stopping deforestation. So
I think they got inspired from Miss Myanmar, who won the national costume last year. That they used this as a platform to send their message, socio-political message. It's like a tool to be heard as well.
It's actually a powerful statement for the girls, so I like it also.
yeah, and
And
that's
by the way, Joe, let me add this. This time around, I mean, the Miss Universe, I think you listened to the right article of Ric. So Ric, about
Yes.
Mongoose costume.
yeah.
I love it. I love it.
My main point there is the safety of the candidates. Okay, you cannot ask a small petite woman to carry a 20-kilogram costume like Myanmar did back in 2016. I think that it endangers the health of the contestants. That's one of the considerations.
I agree. Wow, kudos to the organization.
Yes.
Yeah, and
I
now
think,
it's time to talk about the preliminary competition. So before we proceed with our individual picks for each of the rounds, could you give me your overall assessment of this year's batch, Stephen?
This year's batch or this year's preliminary competition?
yeah, this year's batch. What can you say about this year's batch?
Okay.
Your overall impression of them.
Well, the overall impression. First of all, I just want to clarify to the people around here that the preliminary competition or the preliminary show, for me, at least for me, I think it's just a show. It's just more of a formality of what the judges have already decided during the one-on-one interview. Because, like I said, I also said this last year. What happens is that if you had the one-on-one interview before the preliminary show, usually the judges have already made up their mind. And what's going to happen is that they'll just look at the girl perform in the preliminary show. If she is okay, then they'll just probably just put their vote on that girl and put her in the top 16 or top 15, right? But if it's the other way around, usually, they have already given their score for the swimsuit and the evening gown, and it's only later when they found out that the girl was actually outstanding in the interview, then I'm not sure if the score in the interview would compensate into the low score that they had in the evening gown and swimsuit. That is if the interview happened afterwards, right? But if the interview happened before that, usually, no matter how messed up the girl did in the preliminary show, if they already like the girl, they're still going to give her a good score because they want her in the top 15. So that's it. And since we don't know exactly what happened during the top 15, during the one-on-one interview, then we have no idea how the judges would actually rate the girls based only on our. This is what we are going to say here is just based on how they performed on stage. Because even though we see that, let's say this girl is amazing stage presence and wonderful, but we didn't know that she actually had an attitude and she messed up her interview. I'm sure that the judge would still give her a low score no matter how great they are in the swimsuit or in the evening gown competition. Because me as a judge, I would do the same if I don't like the girl already. Like I don't want her in the top 15 because she had a really messed up personality, right? So, but what we are going to say here, what we're going to share here today is that, we don't know exactly what happened during the interview. We just want to assess the girl based on their performance on stage. Just based on their performance, yes. And disregarding their story, disregarding their intelligence, disregarding their whatever it is that we cannot see within our naked eyes. Okay?
Yeah, so that said, let's start with your top picks for the swimsuit. So Stephen's picks are... Wait, I'll reshare the screen.
Are we starting with the swimsuit?
Yes, it's
okay.
The swimsuit. Stephen's picks for swimsuit: Italy, Kenya, USA, Puerto Rico, and India. So just quickly go over them.
All right. Yeah. Aside from these 5 young women, I have to say that the Africans did really, really well this year. The African delegates or the black delegates, if it's okay to say black delegates, because they are really amazing.
Delegates of color.
Yeah, the women of color. Okay, that's the right term to say. Amazing body proportion, catwalk. It's aside from Kenya, aside from USA. I would commend Miss Nigeria, Miss Ghana as well, Miss Namibia. They had amazing catwalk, long legs. Like they were the showstopper in this swimsuit competition, because after one girl comes into the next, and then when an African delegate comes on stage, it's like, wow, it's different. The body proportion.
Boost of energy.
yes, the performance level, the body proportion. It's just like the Africans were really amazing this year, and I won't be surprised if there will be a lot of Africans in the top 15 this year. So. Yeah, having said that, Italy is amazing because she's a Latin dancer. Kenya, stage presence, wonderful. USA, you won't believe that this is just her 3rd pageant after Miss Kentucky and Miss USA, and this is Miss Universe. Puerto Rico, solid performance, amazing. India, body and face combined, perfection.
Now let's proceed with Amir's swimsuit pick.
Oh, yeah,
Paraguay,
I love
India, Philippines, Belgium, and Puerto
Puerto
Rico.
Rico.
Amir.
Yeah, for me, Drew, this girl stood out during the swimsuit competition. Paraguay, obviously, aside from her beauty, aside from her flawless catwalk, everything is great about her during the swimsuit competition. For me, she really slayed the segment of swimsuit competition segments. So I think Paraguay stood out. India, again, same with Stephen, solid performance, beauty, the way she carried herself, her catwalk, it was so flawless. Philippines, I like the way. I like her choice of color of swimsuit. It matches with her color of her skin and her body, and that's something I admire. And her catwalk, so perfect. I love her catwalk. Belgium, I love the color of the skin, the beauty, her presentation. It was flawless as well, and she did very well during the swimsuit competition. I love how she handled her smiles. It's not so OA. And Puerto Rico, oh my God, as far as I know, everyone knows how Puerto Rico do the catwalk. She's really good in her catwalk, Drew. That's the best thing I like about Puerto Rico during the swimsuit competition. That's why I put her in my list. And her color of her skin. I love it.
Yes. Thank you, Amir. And now let's proceed to Rick's picks for swimsuit. Puerto Rico, India,
Almost the
Paraguay,
same.
Belgium, and Philippines. Almost the same. Nagkopyahan yata kayo. Rick.
Before I proceed to discuss my picks for swimsuit, I would like to also to give my insights about this year's candidates. I think that as of this moment, the Miss Universe pageant is still an open game. We might be surprised in who will win, but for me, there is no clear front runner. I think that any of these contestants that we have listed, the top 10, top 5, whatever is your choice, would end up as a winner of Miss Universe. So, having said that, my choices for swimsuit, I think Puerto Rico nailed it. She's very sophisticated, finesse, beautiful body, confidence. India, I think we might see the third Miss Universe from India this year. Very, very strong candidate. She's beautiful, she's confident, and I think that their promise to make the India Sash a threat again has finally come into fruition. It's probably hard work from the organization, but I think India this year did very well. Paraguay, I've already said that I think that she's just a hype candidate, but I think that she lived the hype. Okay, for me. So I'm gonna eat my words and say that Paraguay is one of the front runners. She knows how to sashay on stage. She was able to project her beauty on stage effectively, and I think the judges will see that. Belgium, I'm surprised with Belgium, but I think that she deserves to be one of the top in swimsuit, and I think the rest of you will agree with me. She delivered well. Philippines, a lot of people are saying that she was too reserved. She didn't really impress a lot of people. Like you need, in a Miss Universe, you need to do something to stand out. But I think that's the beauty of Philippines. She presented relatively in a simpler way, but the impact is there for me anyway. She's elegant. She knows how to catwalk on stage, and the most important thing of all is that she's confident on her own skin. I think that shows. It will be projected to the judges and to the audience that Miss Philippines is confident and she's happy on who she is, and that's why I put her as one of the top 5 for.
Yes. Thank you, Rick. And now let's proceed to my picks for swimsuit. I posted this on my social media accounts earlier this morning. So no surprise, it's India, USA, Spain, Paraguay, and Belgium. India, I remember that before she went to Miss Universe, most of the concerns about her is that she's not really that good in her pasarela or catwalk skills. And she surprised us all with how she presented herself during the swimsuit round. I think she was the best in that round. The next one is USA. Who would have thought that just last week she was competing for the Miss USA crown, and now she's in Miss Universe. I dare say USA is the biggest threat among all the girls. Siya yung tinik sa mga frontrunners in our native language. Spain, my sentimental favorite. Spain, she delivered. She delivered. She delivered. I would have expected more, but I think the subtleness and the classy presentation during the swimsuit really worked to her advantage. Paraguay, I do not have any expectations whatsoever about Paraguay. I haven't seen her walk until the swimsuit competition, and I think Paraguay it's not just hype. She's the real deal. And finally, Belgium, the biggest surprise of the night. Belgium was just wow. And that's it for my picks for swimsuit. But before we proceed with the evening gown picks, I just want to ask you guys, aside from the five girls that we've each mentioned, who are the girls that you also think really worked the swimsuit competition or worked the swimsuit around well? I want to start by mentioning Dominican Republic. I think she's one of the surprises, and also Czech Republic. Czech Republic, as we all know, is already an international title holder. She was Miss Global, so I kind of expected that she would deliver on stage, and she did. And also France. Who would have thought that we would have France in the preliminary competition after she was sidelined earlier last week because of uh, her COVID results, but now she's back in the game, and she was so playful and so fun to watch to look at. I think Iris Mittener was so happy to see her compete on stage. How about you guys? So it's Ethan. Any
Like
other
I
girls
said,
in mind?
like I said, the Africans, Namibia, Ghana, Nigeria, Equatorial Guinea, the really underrated women from Africa because they're not really huge pageant countries, but they did deliver. Those legs, come on, maybe 99% of the women would die to have those legs. Endless legs.
Rick, how about you?
Yeah. Yeah, okay. Drew, for me, I think, yeah, I agree with Stephen. Equatorial Guinea. Both rounds, I love her so much. In swimsuit and in evening gown, I love Equatorial Guinea. Um, I never noticed her during the pre-pageants. I mean, before preliminary, but during the preliminary competition, I noticed her. I also love Italy, France. Those are the girls that stood out for me. I mean, that I admire both rounds in the swimsuit and the evening gown competition. I also have I like also Chile, of course. She's real pretty. I love her beauty. And I also have in my list, I'm looking at my list right now, USA, of course. I mean, USA is not on my list for the swimsuit, but this for the overall, like I admire her because of her preparation, despite of the short time, and she was able to, to give us a very good show.
And Rick, any
Well,
other
I
girls
think
in
that
mind?
Colombia, you should watch out for her, and USA, I've already mentioned it in my article on the website. You might see Miss USA winning the Miss Universe crown this year, and I will discuss it more later. But so far, those are the additional girls that will Vietnam is very commendable. I'm not so sure if it's conscious or deliberate attempt to imitate Miss Venezuela back in 2018. But whatever the case is, I think that she did well. Uh, it's not a bad imitation or a fake imitation. I think that she delivered it well, especially in gown, I must say. And we might see Vietnam in the semifinals this year. I think she's a very strong candidate.
Yeah, before we leave the swimsuit picks, there's a question from one of our viewers. What is your take on Miss Bahrain's swimsuit presentation?
I was actually going to mention that.
Okay,
Because
go
I'm just paying
Ethan.
attention on that same question, actually. Yeah, really good question, Frederick. Yeah, about Miss Bahrain's swimsuit presentation. I highly recommend, other pageants, to encourage this kind of swimsuit presentation as well, because not everyone is actually comfortable in wearing a bikini or a one-piece swimsuit. Here in Miss International, we want to advocate that one in the next edition of Miss International, so that we could also invite other countries, like for example from the Middle East, to be able to compete. Although Miss Bahrain was really covered up, and it's wonderful. It's there's no problem with that one. But how I wish that she actually put a little bit more of energy on her performance, just to make up for the for what she could not show to the other delegate, and because other delegates have shown a lot of skin, she didn't show skin because probably it has something to do with her beliefs and with her culture or background. But it would have been much better if she just like sway there, like as if she's dancing a salsa or doing a really explosive pasarela. That would have been perfect. But she lacked the energies, unfortunately. Although she's really very, very pretty. I have just look at the face. I really like the fact that we have a candidate from Bahrain this year, because it's about time actually that we appreciate the beauties of the Middle Eastern countries, Bahrain, Qatar, hopefully in the future, the Kuwait, for example, as well, or UAE. Maybe in the future we will have more of them competing in the Big Five pageants, the major international pageants.
Yeah.
I would like to say
Great.
something, Drew. I would like to tackle
Yes,
this
Rick.
issue.
Go ahead.
My mind is actually swirling with so many things to say, but first and foremost, it is quite unexpected how the swimwear competition has evolved from 2011 to 2021. In 2011, we had bikinis that they call as Brazilian bikinis, which shows a lot of skin. That was 10 years ago. And now, fast forward 2021, we see swimwear that, more conservative. So if you look at how swimwear has evolved, we actually came to the point that there is no actually a specific definition or specific rules on what a swimwear constitutes. We've got sportswear apparel makers like Nike, like Speedo, who manufactured or designed swimwear that caters to people of different faiths, and that goes to our Muslim brothers and sisters. And those are conservative type of apparel. And that's what I would like to remind the public. There is no strict definition of what swimwear constitutes. And if Miss Bahrain has defined swimwear as what she is wearing on stage, then so be it. And I think that the judges should be open-minded and judge her according how she carried on what she defined to be a swimmer. So that's my opinion about it. Drew, nakamute ka, Drew.
I'm sorry. Now we proceed to the next part of our review, which is the evening gown. It's my favorite part of the preliminary competition. So I would like to start with my personal picks. So they are USA, Spain, India, Belgium, and Colombia. So USA, USA was towards the latter part of the show now, so I was very medyo bored already. And then when I saw her come out in that green Michael Cinco haute couture gown, I was like, this is winner vibes. Winner written all over her. That was a crowning moment ready gown. And we rarely see really expensive gowns worn on the pageant stage. And I think it will work to her advantage that she wore a gown that is not really pageant. And who else to wear that kind of gown than Elle Smith? She was just breathtaking. And then Spain, of course, delivered as usual. India, although I wish she had a different hairstyle. I think India's evening gown performance was also solid. Belgium again, she was one of the she was on the first group of girls that she's still stuck in my mind all throughout the evening gown competition. She was one of the best. And finally, Colombia. Although we've seen her gown many times on the pageant stage, Valeria Ayas just really delivered, and just that's it. Those are the girls that I picked for the gown. And I just want to mention too other girls that aside from the five girls that I mentioned, I also would like to mention Chile. She and Colombia are tied on my fifth spot, but I picked Colombia. That red gown, that was just really great. The next one, Rick, your gown picks.
Well, I think India delivered well. Paraguay, a lot of people are saying the way she carried the cape or whatever it is not really the best that she could present on stage, but I think she delivered well. Colombia, I think we need to watch out this candidate. She's very good at catwalk. And USA, Drew, you covered it very well, and I think that as of this moment, USA is very strong contender for the crown. Not only because we think that she aced her interview, which we don't know if it's really true or not as of this moment, but I think more likely a big chance that she did well, and also because of her gown performance. She's very stylish. She's elegant and sophisticated. Puerto Rico, the color is very royal. The design a bit retro, but she did well, carry well her gown on stage. But I would like also to mention more candidates in the list. Vietnam is very commendable. Philippines also, I think Amir already mentioned that the red color did complement her skin tone, and I think that she also delivered well in her catwalk. So watch out also for Miss Philippines. What else? I think Belgium also registered in my list, and we also need to watch out for Dominican Republic. I think that her gown also very sexy, figure hugging, quite different from the usual gowns that we see officially. So I think we should watch out for Dominican Republic as well.
Yeah. Thank you, Rick. And now we proceed with Stephen. Stephen's picks.
Okay, again, I just want to say that first, and why is Rick's picture?
Sorry.
Sorry. Okay, first, I just want to say that, since 2015, the winner of the Miss Universe title wore a different gown during the preliminary, and they wore different gowns during the preliminary and the final, like Pia, Iris, etc., until Andrea. So please do not. What I'm going to say here is just my assessment on what I saw in the preliminary gowning competition. These are the 5 delegates who did really well, in my opinion, during the preliminary show. USA, Paraguay, Honduras. Honduras was a revelation. The facial expression was perfect. Everything about her was really queenly. I'm not sure if she's going to make it into the top 15, but I have to give it to her. Like, the preliminary evening gown competition was really her moment. Namibia is like an African goddess, like beautiful execution. Singapore, I rarely see a Singaporean delegate who exudes class, sophistication, and elegance. And this year, Miss Singapore really, really caught my attention, and I have to give it to her as well. So these are my top 5 picks for the evening gown preliminary competition. Again, we never know what's going to happen during the final because a lot of these girls are going to change their evening gowns. But I have to say that I was quite disappointed with the evening gown of 2 of my favorites, Miss Puerto Rico and India. I didn't like their gowns during the preliminary, but I am hoping they're going to change their evening gown during the final so that they'll make it into the top 5. So it's like a gamble on my part as well. I have to take that risk and believe that they're going to wear a better gown during the finals on Sunday.
I have to add, Stephen, Singapore looked like Halle Berry.
Who?
In that
Singapore?
Gown. Singapore, yes. She looked like Halle Berry
She's so pretty, actually. She's really, really
Yes.
pretty.
I'm surprised you didn't talk about Japan, but we'll talk about that later.
Oh, we will talk about
We'll
that
talk
later.
about that later.
Yeah,
Okay.
later.
But yes, thank you, Stephen. We will proceed now with Amir's picks. Amir, who's also
Yeah.
very bold choices
Contrary
here.
to Stephen, my number one is India for the evening gown. I love her so much. The Bahamas, Colombia, US, and Venezuela. India first.
Amir, can you please say the Bahamas again?
The Bahamas. I love it because next year the India, the Philippines, the USA. Just kidding. Anyway, so India. Why India? Oh my God, she's so beautiful in her evening gown. For me at least, she had a solid performance. Her performance was on point. Her facial expression make her look so queenly, so regal, so class, very queenly. And I love the way she did play with the camera, the way she look at the cameras. It was really so queenly. And the Bahamas, the Bahamas because I love the gold. I love colored gold, and the gold gown to her was so on point to her. It suits to her color of her skin. So that's why I love it. And the design, it's the intricate of the design. I love the design. Colombia, very chic, fit and beautiful design. So for me, it looks like very expensive looking. I love it. USA, it's an unusual style because most of the girls are shining there. Everywhere is shining, and but as far as I see the gown of USA, it's very unusual style, and there's a bit of drama, and she walk it very elegant. Venezuela, she's so classy. She's a gorgeous, and I love the beadworks of her gown. So that's my top five or top picks for the gown. And to add up again,
Thank you, Amir.
yes, Joe, it's okay. Go.
Yes, go, Amir.
No, I would
To
just
add
like
up.
to add because someone messaged me. How about Philippines? Someone messaged me right now. I love the style of her gown. The cut again is very, it suits on her, and I admire the design because it's really suits to her body figure. It was showcase her legs, her loom legs. So it's good actually. It's good and the solid performance. I love the way she represented herself because she's so lively. She was just happy, having fun. Not so not so OA, not so not so gigil or in our term. I love it actually.
Yeah. And now, just like the first round, any other girls aside from the girls you mentioned that stood out for you? I have to say Dominican Republic. I
Me
think
too.
Rick already
Yeah.
mentioned
That
her.
was she the one who wore the yellow gown, right?
The yellow gown, yes.
Yeah. There.
I also want to mention Haiti. Haiti, she was just so fun to watch during the evening gown competition. I also like to mention Czech Republic again. I don't know. I was just so mesmerized by her during the preliminary competition. And I have to add, unpopular opinion. I was disappointed with Paraguay's gown. As you guys know, and now the audience will know, it's my pet peeve. Uh, Gowns with capes or extra textile that girls hold all throughout their performance. You don't have to hold it, just like what Lucia said. Let it flow and just do your thing. But
I think it's
her
stuck
face
in
was,
her finger or something.
yeah, it was stuck here. But her face is just so mesmerizing.
I didn't like
How about you,
the ponytail though.
Any other girls in mind?
Oh, again, I will say Equatorial Guinea, Drew. I love her during the evening gown competition. I really love her.
And
I
Ghana.
never noticed this
Ghana.
girl. Yes, Stephen. I never noticed this girl during I mean, prior to the preliminary competition, but during the preliminary competition, I think I love her. I love her performance, and her presentation is always on point.
I have to commend as well to my friends who are joining Miss Universe, Miss Canada and Miss Sweden. They did really wonderfully well. I hope that they did well in the interview and they impressed the judges because they don't really carry much such weight, but
Yes.
I really hope that they will make it into the top 15 as well, especially Sweden.
Let me add this also. I observed India looks like Venezuela to me. That batch of Catriona, the hairstyle, the way she walk. I think I don't know if you observe that, guys, but I observed that one for Vietnam. Sorry, Vietnam.
Vietnam. Yeah, it was like
Vietnam.
Yes.
Venezuela.
She was
Vietnam,
channeling Stephanie Gutierrez.
straight hair.
Yeah, it works in her because she has a pretty face. Also, I love
And you know
it.
that straight hair is very very expensive in Israel. If you want to have straight hair, you're going to pay a lot of money, and they even call that the Japan hair.
Japanese.
Wow, trivia.
Yeah, speaking of Japan, Stephen,
Yes,
what can you say about Miss Japan's?
Miss Japan's.
well-attended
We
evening
actually we had a discussion with my friends who are in the business of pageantry, because we have a chat group here. We were discussing about the evening gown, and many of them say that it looked good in motion, but because she's short, it made her look even shorter.
Mhm.
And let's admit it, she's no Rio Mori, and she's not Kurara Chibana type of tall frame woman. So the black color made her even look shorter, which is unfortunate. That's not the kind of design that would fit her body type. But we're all about body positivity here, right? So we have to be comfortable in your own skin and color and size or whatnot. But overall, it's okay. The only thing that I didn't really appreciate about her performance was her lack of facial expression, but it seems to be so
Mhm.
monotonous, just one expression. She smiled at the last part, but that was already after the judges already put their scores.
Steven, you know what? I admire Japan, her styling during the closed door interview. I love her.
Oh yeah, that's why. Like I'm still hoping that she would make it to top 15 because of her interview. Because this woman, she could talk like amazing. She's
I know. I
smart.
know. Yeah, napainom tuloy siya ng wine. And now,
Kahlua milk.
and now it's the most exciting part of the show. We will be revealing our individual final five plus one or two. So final five will be our personal top five overall, aside from the prelims, but overall impression of the candidates, plus our dark horse, either one or two dark horses. So are you ready, guys?
I'm ready.
Yes. So let's start with our Missosology founder, Ric. Ric, your final five plus one. Okay, let me reshare the screen again. Ric's final five plus one: USA, India, Paraguay, Belgium, Puerto Rico, and Colombia.
Okay. First and foremost, I would like to emphasize this to all Miss Universe fans out there. There's a lot that we don't know about the contest, and in my own opinion, there's about 50% of the scores were decided during the one-on-one interviews, and this is something that we haven't seen or heard about, and we have no idea what happened in there. So it's like a black hole or something for beauty pageant analysts, and that's the big problem. For two straight edition of Miss Universe in 2019 and 2020, we have a difficult time predicting the winner. And I would like to point out that the main culprit of that is because we don't know exactly what happened on one-on-one interviews. We can only guess whether that particular candidate aced her interviews or that the judges were impressed with her personality. Having said that, even before the prelims, I said Miss USA is more likely gonna be the winner of Miss Universe 2021. She's smart. She's very witty. She's quick thinking, and I think that her personality and the way she carries herself on stage is what the IMG is looking for in a Miss Universe. So I would put my bet as of this moment to Miss USA. India, very strong. I've said it many times, and her gown, I'm impressed. Although it could be divisive, the color, the cut, the way she carried it, swimsuit, she did well. Beauty-wise, I love her. Paraguay, as before the prelims, I warned everyone that she could be all hype, and I've warned that Miss Universe is not about who has the most beautiful face in the pageant. So we have to be very cautious about placing our bets on Paraguay. But she delivered well during the prelims, and that's it's good news for her. I think she will be in the top five. Not really my Miss Universe, but she could be in the top five. Belgium, I'm surprised. She was out of my radar, really out of my radar for quite some times. But during the preliminaries, she delivered well. So she has a very good chance. Puerto Rico, very well trained, sophisticated, a lot of finesse. She's really good. For my dark horse, I'm conflicted either to put Philippines or Colombia. Philippines is also very strong. Make no mistake about it. She delivered well as well, especially in the gown. But Colombia, I saw something in her that I think that could make her also in the top five. So that's it. That's my list.
Thank you, Rick. And now the next one is Amir. Amir, your final five plus one.
Okay, can you please share, Drew? I have with me India, USA, Philippines, Puerto Rico, Belgium, and France. Well, India, first and foremost, is one of the most pretty faces I've seen so far, aside from Paraguay. So she's ready. She's lead in both the segments, evening gown and swimwear segment, and with consistency. Her looks are on point. Her poses are also in point, and she's very elegant, especially in her evening gown. I have that. I would say, Drew, that I admire her, especially during our Missosology Beauty Talks. We had a virtual interview with her, and I can vouch that she has a very good communication skills. So I'm rooting for this girl, India. USA, yeah, she's the biggest threat for all. If you give a mic to USA, that's it. That's it. And I love her preparation despite of the short time, and she did well in both rounds. And I have these high hopes for this girl when it comes to communication skills. That's why I put her in my list also. Philippines, she was so lively on her performance. Everyone was expecting for her to give us smiles or whatever, that kind of facial expressions. But I love her lively personality. It showcases her own personality on both segments. I remember the time when I hadn't talked to her that she would mention that she has two personality, one as Bea and one as Luigi. And I think I saw the Beatrice side of her during the preliminary competition, which is more lively, which has a very good personality. And I love her styling. That's something unique. Most of the girls are having this curl, volume hair, and straight hairs, but she has a very different style of her hair. And correct me if I'm wrong, I have never seen a Filipina doing that kind of hairstyle during the preliminary competition. And I really love it for her. I love the styling. She was so lively. And Puerto Rico, very impressive performance. Again, she's so sophisticated. And I know the way, I know her catwalk is one of her strengths. So that's why I put it Puerto Rico. Belgium, she's a very unique beauty. She gave us a very solid performance. I love her beauty. If I were to say a beautiful, most of the beautiful, I mean, if I want to mention three of the most beautiful girls, I would say it's India, Belgium, and Paraguay at this moment of time. And was this France? So, and the other one is France. France because
Dark horse, your dark horse.
with my dark horse is France. I love her performance actually. I am, correct me if I'm wrong, but she had undergone like she was undergone COVID. What do you call that?
Quarantine.
Is the one Steve?
She tested positive for COVID, so she had to undergo quarantine. And she
Yeah.
was
Despite of that, I never seen it on her performance that she was like tested positive for COVID. So I admire her. His performance was so solid, and yeah, I put her in my list as well. France and also Colombia. I forgot to put in her list. Colombia was the best for her performance during that night. Colombia.
Thank you, Amir, for sharing your final five plus three plus two or three dark horses. And now, before we proceed with Stephen's, alam ko marami nag-aabang sa picks mo. So, mauna na ako, Stephen.
Go.
My final picks, USA, India, Belgium, Colombia, Spain, and my two dark horses, Philippines and Chile. So let me start with USA. So USA, she was just crowned Miss USA like a week ago, but she delivered. I think she's riding on the momentum of her Miss USA win, and I think that although it was criticized, the Miss USA organization was criticized for sending her right after she won Miss USA. But I think it worked to Elle Smith's advantage because she didn't have to she didn't need a lot of preparations. She came to Israel with a winner vibe. And then my next on my list should be no surprise. It's India. Her Naz, we've interviewed her on Missosology Beauty Talks. I know that she has good communication skills, just like her predecessors. And I think India's renaissance has finally arrived in Miss Universe. And I won't be surprised if India will win its third crown on Sunday. And then Belgium, or the biggest surprise of the preliminaries. But I know if you remember, guys, I pushed for Belgium to be on our top five of the last of the previous hot picks of Missosology, and I think I was vindicated because Belgium delivered, and I think the Miss Belgium organization made the right choice of the right decision of sending her to Miss Universe because I think uh, her type of beauty is well appreciated on the IMG era Miss Universe. The beauty, body, personality, her interesting story where she was sent to an orphanage and was adopted together with her siblings by a Belgian family and she was raised in Belgium and she got criticisms for being not Belgian enough to represent Belgium in Miss Universe. But hey, she delivered, and she's probably wearing the Belgian sash in Miss Universe. I won't, I won't mind seeing her with the crown. And now Colombia. Colombia is a pageant veteran, and I've seen her in Miss Earth a few years ago, and I know what she can deliver. Although I think that her preliminary performance were a little bit subtle, but the preliminaries do not decide who wins. It's the finals night.
I
And
agree.
with her skill, her beauty, her interesting story, and also her background in green agenda, which Miss Universe is highlighting this year. I think Colombia might be back in the top five. And finally, my sentimental favorite, Spain. She for me is the face of the competition, the most beautiful candidate in this batch for me. And I wish she delivered a stronger performance, but I won't be dropping her from my top five. I will still bank on what I saw in her during her national pageant and our interview with her. And finally, my two dark horses, Philippines and Chile. Bea Luigi, Beatrice Luigi Gomez. I know what she's capable of. I've seen her in Miss Universe Philippines. If she delivers the same uh, intensity that she had in Miss Universe Philippines, if ever she makes it to the top 16 and top 7 eventually, I'm confident that she can penetrate the top five. And finally, Chile, also another uh, product of Miss Earth. She was one of the most consistent all throughout the competition, and also one of the girls who delivered a solid performance all throughout the preliminaries, and we should watch out for her. So that's it for my top 5 plus 2. And now it's time for Stephen's picks. So Stephen.
Yes, my final picks are, I think I don't even need to explain much about Miss USA, Miss India, Miss Puerto Rico. And then I also have Namibia and Paraguay. These are my top five. And if you notice, guys, USA, India, Puerto Rico, Namibia, what have you noticed about these four delegates?
What do we
Women of
know?
color.
Actually,
Women of color.
here's the thing. USA, if you reverse it, Namibia, Puerto Rico, India, and USA, these are the
Okay.
countries that won after Lupita Jones won the Miss Universe
Yes.
title in 1991. So it's so it's like Lupita, which is Mexico, and then she crowned Miss Namibia, and Namibia crowned Miss Puerto Rico, and Miss Puerto Rico crowned Miss India, and India crowned Miss USA. And it just so happened that these 4 ladies or delegates this year also delivered very well at the Miss Universe pageant, in the 70th Miss Universe pageant.
1992, 1993,
1994,
1995.
and 95.
Yeah, that's
clever.
Dayanara Torres, Susmita Sen, Chelsea Smith.
Susmita Sen and Chelsea Smith. And here's the thing. Chelsea Smith, Miss Namibia was actually named after Chelsea Smith.
After Chelsea Smith.
And Miss USA's family name is what?
Smith.
So yes, anyway, like that's just the superstitious part of my top 5. But anyway, Miss USA, once she makes it into the top 5, I think it's game over. We know how this woman talks, and it really makes sense. Spontaneous, smart, witty, well chosen vocabulary. She's the best spokesperson or Miss USA that I have seen since Olivia Jordan. And India, I think this is going to be like a battle between USA and India again, just like in 2015. Who's going to be the winner? Who's going to be the first runner-up? We don't know. But we can also never underestimate Miss Puerto Rico because, Puerto Rico is currently the apple of the eye of the IMG organization, right? So we'll see how this will change. But they might be spoiled by Miss Namibia because according to the profile, Namibia is actually a very funny person because she even organized her own stand-up comedian.
She's like a stand-up comedian.
You're right?
Yeah.
So I'm pretty sure that she was able to make the judges laugh during the one-on-one interview. And laughter is something that the judges usually nowadays would appreciate. They love a good laugh. They love someone who is humorous.
Yes.
And who knows, maybe the judges already love her and then they will put her into the top 15, top 10, top 5 simply because they just love her, right? So
we were able to interview Namibia too in
she's
a woman of substance and she's also funny, very, very funny.
Exactly.
But I was just like sad because she was lively during her presentation, and I'm not sure if
actually the same thing that I thought of Demi Lee during the preliminary in 2017.
Yeah,
and look at how she won the contest. That's why I'm telling you, this preliminary thing, sometimes they don't even matter. If the judges already like you because of the one-on-one interview, they will just propel you up there into the top 5 no matter what. So I'm hoping that this will work for Namibia, and hopefully this would also work for the other girl in my top 5, which is Miss Paraguay. She is so far the most followed delegate on Instagram. And my alternate or my dark horse, now after seeing your choices, I don't even consider Belgium as a dark horse anymore. But Italy would be a dark horse. Her performance during the preliminary was impeccable, full of class, very unique look, very, very uniquely Italian. And since she is an educator herself, she's a teacher, then probably she did well as well in the one-on-one interview. Hopefully she did. But if I'm going to mention some other delegates that I would really love to see in the top 5, without considering the preliminary performance and all that, I would love to see Japan in the top 5 because she's one hell of a smart woman, and her background, which is being half Korean and half Japanese, would be a very good topic to discuss if ever she got the opportunity to be in the top 5 and also eventually in the top 3. So that's my top 5, and hopefully the judges would agree with me, and I hope the girls will deliver on Sunday night.
Stephen, I would like to add something, Drew, about the choice of Stephen for Miss Namibia, because even before the semis, I saw something in Miss Namibia that really surprised me. it's very rare for have such a candidate for have such an impact. I really don't follow her, but somehow I saw a video or a photo of her that I saw some sophistication in her. But my problem with her is that she didn't really deliver the preliminaries uh, like I was
She looked
expecting to.
nervous.
But I really hope Stephen. I really hope that Stephen is right in saying that she might not deliver well during the prelims, but I really hope she did well at the one-on-one interviews. And I really
Actually,
like
I
her.
also admire
I really
her
like her.
beauty.
Yeah, but somehow she fell short of our expectations. That's my opinion about her.
Well, actually, it's the same thing that I saw on Miss Puerto Rico and Miss India during their evening gown presentation. I felt like they could have done better because the evening gown of Puerto Rico was, come on, that was some 1980s, right? Miss India's evening gown was not at par, at least compared with Adeline's gown last year. So if Adeline could not even win with that evening gown, how could she win with a, but
I heard she's
But
changing her
Stephen,
gown.
I
I
think she's
remember,
gonna
I
wear better
remember,
one on Sunday night.
Stephen, I remember the statement of Venus Ra. It's not all about the gown.
That's true. It's not all about a gown; it's how you wear it.
It's
But
how you
still,
wear it.
in the
And
end,
now,
especially
before
on
we
the days
wrap
that
up,
we have the final look, we
yes,
since we have the
yes, okay.
final look, sometimes it would boil down to that one. Even though you gave the best answer, if the judges think that you didn't look the best in the final three or final five final look, they might not give you the crown.
I
Yeah,
agree.
so to wrap up everything, what are your expectations for the finals? Let's start with Rick.
Well, I already said it. I have high expectations for Miss USA, but overall, I expect a quality pageant. I saw the stage. We all saw the stage. We all saw the production. We all saw the camera work. So we probably gonna see a very exciting Miss Universe pageant, and it's even a miracle that the pageant itself pushed through. Because there's a lot of doubts, lots of clouds thrown up there, and we're still in the midst of the pandemic. And I would like to convey this message to all our listeners here. The pandemic is not yet over. We're still in the midst of the pandemic. So while, like in the Philippines now, we act as if it's normal because we have so very low cases. But I'm really afraid of what's going to happen in the next few months because people are letting their guard down. So it's a miracle that we have a Miss Universe this year, and I think that we're going to enjoy it. Miss Universe, I think, together with Miss World, Miss Earth, and Miss National, uh, they are the bastion of um, real pageants that empowers women instead of demoting women or insulting women or making fun out of women. So I'm very glad that we are witnessing that the pageant has been pushed through. So I really expect that it's going to be exciting, and I really hope that the organization will finally pick a winner that we can all agree on. But that's very unlikely. We all have different opinions, but I'm banking on Miss USA. Like Stephen said, she's a wonderful spokesperson. Drew, you said she has a sophisticated gown, and I think Amir also agreed with that. And I'm looking forward for our final hot picks. That's gonna come out tomorrow, I
Yes.
guess.
Please
And
do
it will be interesting.
please do tune in tomorrow at 12 p.m. 12 noon as we will be releasing our final hot picks live on our Facebook and YouTube page. So
Very
that's it
interesting.
for
So what's gonna
tonight.
happen?
Drew,
Thank
can
you,
I
Rick,
add
for
Thank you
Actually,
more?
so
there's,
participating
much.
in
it's
the
very
meeting.
funny, Drew. Someone actually made a comment here that how come Namibia was in my top five, although she was not in my swimsuit and in my evening gown top five. Hey, girl, Namibia was in my evening gown top five, so just shut up.
Okay, Drew,
And
before
wait, Amir, I just want to add to what Stephen said. We clarified earlier that our final picks are not based on the prelims. It was based on an overall impression of all the ladies. Just
exactly.
like just like how the judges, the selection committee decides. So please respect the everyone's choices as how you want yours to be respected. Coming
Here you're
soon.
asking about some expectations. So let me add to my expectation. I'm excited for the stage, Miss Universe stage this time,
Mhm.
because during the preliminary, I was to solve with the stage. It has a good runway for the girls. They can showcase their catwalk. So I love that. And I was pretty sure last year it was the format made for Latina, and this year I believe it's for an Asian or for an American.
True.
Yes.
One more thing, no. I agree with Stephen. African contestants are very impressive this year. We
They're very
might not have
impressive.
mentioned,
Yeah, you have
yeah,
to
we
give it
might
to
not
them.
have mentioned South Africa, but I think that you have to watch out for her. Kenya also, Nigeria, they are all very solid candidates. So, I mean,
So
that's just our
another
observations.
another expectation is that there will be the lot of dark horse that will surprise us maybe during the
We will be surprised. Yeah,
yes.
yeah, we will be
Usually
surprised.
there is
That's
an
for sure.
element of surprise, and that's what makes Miss Universe really exciting because usually what happens is that um, things happen for a reason. Like for example, Crystal Stewart. Like Crystal Stewart would have been a winner in 2018 if she didn't fall. Once she have made it into the top five, probably she would have slayed the interview competition as well, and probably we didn't have Diana Mendoza as Miss Universe that year. Like we really don't know what's going to happen during the final night. Things could happen either ways, or we just don't know.
And by the way, let me ask you guys, like, what's the format for this time around? Like, I mean,
Oh,
top five, top three.
the format is the same as 2017. So there will be a
So
top
it's
16
still
and then a top
continental.
10,
Like,
a top 5. No, no I don't think there's a continental division.
okay, that's
Top
good.
16, a top 10, a top 5, and then a top 3.
Oh, I think it's a
So that's
format
the
given for
format now.
Asian or for American girl.
And there will be a short casual interview right after they're called in the top 16.
Yeah,
I
because
think
like for example, even though we have our bets, like I'm pretty sure Drew, Rick, and Amir know this. Even though we have our own personal bets, and then once we watch the actual pageant, sometimes we change our favorites. Even though she's our bet, but somehow you realize no. I think I like this girl even more now because of the performance on stage. So what we are doing here is we're just dishing it out. We're just trying to make this more fun and lively, and this is how we think it's going to happen. But when the actual pageant happens, usually it changes, and we have a change of heart, we have a change of favorites, and then we want to root for another girl instead of the one that we actually wanted to win at the 24 hours ago or 48 hours ago.
yeah,
It's
we actually, Stephen, know our selection of winners happen to be like we also try to check into their background. We do some research actually. We do some research. We have to check into their background. We it's not all about the photos, the glamorous photos. And we also have a first-hand interview with these girls.
Yes.
So
The prelims is
hopefully,
just the tip of the iceberg.
Yeah,
yeah.
it's just a
So
show
hopefully,
actually, and it's one way to
yeah.
appreciate as well all of the delegates because they work so hard for this. It's good to give them moment to actually show their preparation.
Yeah, it actually, honestly, Drew, first and foremost, honestly, there's this Miss Universe Philippines. Let me do this. I never expect Bea to win Miss Universe Philippines during the time, but when I personally met her during the send off at the press con, I admire her. She is so different in motion, in action. She's so
Mm.
different, honestly speaking. During the top five selection for Miss Universe Philippines that month. Bea was on my top six or top five. She was never in my top one. But I honestly told her, personally, I told her during the press presentation that, wow, Bea, I admire you now. You are different in person. You are different in motion. I love her personality.
I just have to
No,
add, Amir.
people should
I
not
just
fret if their candidate is not mentioned or it's not in our list.
Yeah,
This is just
exactly.
guys an analysis. This is analysis based on our own opinions, and somehow the way I see it, the four of us as there's somewhere there we met somewhere there. Like you can see in our list, there's Belgium, there's USA, and it's probably just a coincidence, that somehow the way we see it, Drew saw something in Miss USA,
Mhm.
I saw
Yeah.
something in Miss USA. So
And
probably
it's
the
also
winner
very,
will not be in any of our list.
and some people as well,
That's
it's so
the
easy
way.
for them to criticize our choices and to bash whatever we are saying here. But once we are correct, they're nowhere to be
Ah.
found as well. They're just
Yeah.
there hiding on their
That-
fake names or whatever fake accounts they have.
That's the name of the
For
game.
them to
Yeah.
actually say something harsh against us because they're hiding into a different identity that
Of
is not
course.
theirs.
Of course.
It's,
Right?
it's actually
So-
even that's
That's
pageant.
the reality nowadays. It's easy to actually bash someone because we are actually representing our real self here, but you guys, you're just hiding behind an avatar or whatever name you are using there. So show yourself and then say it in front of us.
Mhm. And sometimes we have our own gut feel.
Yeah,
That's what
like Amir told Andrea Mesa in Beauty Talks, you're my Miss
Yeah.
Universe
We agree
now,
to
give you
disagree
the
here,
crown,
guys.
Yeah. So that was
Yeah,
a
that's
gut
the beauty
feeling,
of
which
Mrs.
eventually.
And that's pageant actually. It's very normal that there are bashers. That's
Of
pageant.
course, if you don't have haters, then you don't really matter. They hate you because you matter.
But
Yeah.
what is
Stephen,
more important?
Stephen,
what
on
is
our
more
third
important-
episode of Missosology Beauty Talks, I had a basher. Remember?
I know, yeah, you also had a basher because you matter. Your opinion matters. It matters to them and it hurts them, but you matter. Right?
I think
Anyway,
I think we should ignore the bashers, guys.
No,
Yeah.
yes, yeah. Oh,
not-
actually, I
it's
don't. I
not
don't
worth
really.
it.
It's been
It's not
more
worth
than 7 months since I last appeared here, and it's really fun. Welcoming the bashers once again.
okay,
Merry
I have a
Christmas
pass
to you
or go
guys. Merry
question,
Christmas,
guys.
bashers.
Before to wrap things up, I have a pass or go question.
Yeah.
Who is your El Tocuyo front runner?
Oh my god, that's a very hard question.
Pass or go?
Uh,
I would
Amir.
pass.
pass for me.
Pass for me.
I hope
Pass
it's not
for me,
Paraguay
pass
though.
for-
I hope it's not Paraguay because she's in my top 5. Everyone love her, but sometimes it happens when you have a really very beautiful
I'm
contestant.
afraid that's gonna happen, but it will probably happen.
Yeah.
Somewhere one of those in the judging panel was stuck as a frontrunner back in 2015, and she failed to make it.
Yeah, but she had a wonderful career as well.
Yeah,
So just
but
because you didn't make it to the top 15 doesn't mean that it's the end of the road. It's the end of the road
Yeah.
for you. It's not.
Mrs. Real Gal Gadot, the perfect example back in
Yeah,
2004.
but at the very beginning, she really didn't want to place. She said that in most of her interviews.
She's in a mess. Yeah.
I asked that question, but I will also pass. But I have a girl in mind, but I don't want to say it.
No, that's
But I
too
have to
painful.
say,
We'll
though-
talk about it off cam.
Too painful.
But I have to say,
Yeah.
I have to say though that the perfect example is Urvashi Rotella.
Yeah, and she's
She
sitting
didn't.
as well.
She didn't place in 2015. And she's now judging. Miss
Yeah,
Universe.
see, exactly.
What a lovely turn of events for her.
Yeah, and it means that she's not bitter about her loss. She
No.
wouldn't have accepted this job as a judge if she was not happy with the organization.
Yes, and she's become a superstar in
Yeah.
India.
Everything happens
She's
for
a
her.
lot of
She did a win.
followers. She's
So that's
famous in
it
India.
for tonight. Thank you guys.
Thank you, guys.
To our viewers for still tuning in 1 hour and 30 minutes later into the show. And please tune in again tomorrow at 12 noon as we reveal our final hot picks for the 70th Miss Universe. So
Good night, guys. Good
thank
night.
you. Thank you,
Good
Stephen,
night,
Rick, and
everyone.
Amir. Good night.
Easy question I have to say.
Yes, ganyan na ganyan yung itsura niya.
Let's do it!
What the hell? Like, it's me. And you say, oh my God.
They was like, holy deep. Was this going on? Because even now I get like speechless.
Why is it important for a beauty queen to have a good?
If you do not know how to speak your mind, you're not going to give your organization much credibility for what you're really fighting for.
Beauty queen doesn't mean perfection. Now I feel embarrassed to say this, but I'm going to do it because that's how I am. So I'm not gonna go.
My wave became the Miss International wave. Right, Stephen?
I
have become a patent.
Ito naman yung bumaba. Sabi ko, oh my God, kasi na-starving na ng planet House. Tapos pag inaangat ko, hinihila niya. So ako, angat siya. Hila. Oh, hila. Ganun kami.
My travels. I love my travels.
I would just want it to be that I gave something back that made them happy.
Money or love?
Love.